This is now part 2 of my little series of Secrets to a Great Lawn. Originally, this was just going to be a one-off. But then I found over the last year that I've learned a lot of things and I made a lot of mistakes, and I want to pass on all this information to you, and so you can get where you want to go even faster and cheaper. One of the first things I realized was that the key to a great lawn is patience. It takes a while. It takes 2 full growing seasons for grass seed to mature. One of the things that I really have found out from working with people this year is you really need to have a follow through if you're going to do this. You can't just put seed down and water it in and then leave. You've got to keep after it. You've got to keep taking care of it. You got to keep watering it. You have to stay off it. Somebody had said, well, what's the point of having it if you can't use it? And I get that, but it's baby grass. It needs to grow in and mature, and walking on it, letting your dog poop and pee on it is not going to help. And I feel like I'm always surrounded by people that are constantly complaining that they can't grow grass. That's one of the reasons why. You need to leave it alone for a while. I have a backyard that I need to redo next year, and it's the place that my dog hangs out in. It's the only place, and it's like, what am I going to do? And we don't let her in the front yard because of cars and trucks and other dogs. So she likes to go back there. She likes to hang out, lie down. Back by the shed is where she poops and pees. Where am I going to send her at midnight or 6 in the morning to go poop and pee when she has to stay off of it? So that in itself is complicated, but it's something you need to do. You got to figure it out. Another thing is to stick to the process. The grass seed, the peat moss, watering it enough, feeding it. You can't really move away from the process that I set up in that last video. Once you start cheaping out, going for the inexpensive grass seed, maybe I won't cover it with peat moss. I don't really want to spend money on watering it. You're back to where you started. The process works. Follow it. All right, let me start with some mistakes that I made. When I put the grass seed down last year, you put the starter fertilizer on it and it has weed killer on it. But what I didn't really realize is the weed killer is a pre-emergent, so it's stopping weeds from coming up from underground. It's not doing anything to what's above the ground. And I had a ton of crabgrass, especially at the sidewalk strips, and I had a ton of crabgrass in my backyard. And the seeds started germinating and the grass started coming up, but the weeds were still there. And they don't kind of just shrivel up and go away and then get filled in by grass. So I ended up actually taking a shovel and dug out all of the crabgrass down about 3 or 4 inches. It was in there pretty good, and I just got rid of it all and had to start again. Had to put new soil down at the sidewalk strips and then replant some grass seed, starter fertilizer, peat moss, water it in for 3 weeks. So that was really set me back a lot. And then what would also happen is, I'm filling in those spots with grass seed, and then there are other parts of the lawn where the grass just didn't come in. You never know why. There could be rocks underground or roots. Who knows? So you're putting more grass seed down, and then you keep watering. And then you can't really walk around and hand water these spots 4 times a day for 3 to 6 weeks. So you just water everything. And the problem with that is that you start killing the grass that you just planted, and the old grass. You can't overwater. It's just going to kill everything. So I lost a lot of grass by the time fall rolled around, and had to restart again this year in some sections. And then the third big mistake that I made was this year I didn't really pay attention to 2 things. Keeping up with fungus and disease every month, and using a wetting agent. And a wetting agent is something you put on your soil that makes the water go into the soil and then stay there. It's actually two different chemicals in a wetting agent. One makes it penetrate the soil, and the other one makes it hang around for a while longer. You really need to be conscious of both of those things, where I wasn't paying attention to that. One of my sidewalk strips died a big death, which my neighbor thought was maybe from chemicals from snow plows and stuff like that, but the sides of the sidewalk strip survived, the edges, but the middle died, and this was in the middle of July. So that kind of led me to believe that it was either fungus or disease. We had a lot of heat and humidity this summer, and it could have been disease, and it just spread right down. And it was kind of in a localized section, and it kind of had a pattern to it, and I thought, I got to start paying attention to other things. So something to keep up on. Let me just go over the things that I got right, especially from my last video over the last year. The grass seed is, my wife met a woman that lives on the other side of our circle. They were talking, and this woman asked if we had sod put down. And sod is something that somebody grows somewhere, and they cut it into strips, and they bring it to your house or golf course or whatever, and they put down the strips, and you have instant lawn. But it has such a professional, amazing golf course look to it. And it was probably the best compliment I've gotten for this lawn. This grass seed just looks... My brother-in-law said, you know, I see your lawn and I just want to lie down and take a nap on it. That's exactly what I wanted. That's the kind of, when I see the Jonathan Green or the Scots or whatever it is that came with your house, it just doesn't have the same look. So, you know, I follow a golf course superintendent on YouTube, and for Tall Fescue, he suggested Resilience 2 from Twin City Seed, and I knew that I had got it right. And I look around and it just looks amazing. Another thing that I really got right was the mower. I have an Ego mower. It was a bottom of the line that I bought 5 years ago. A rechargeable battery. I've only got one, so I have to use it and then take a break for 30 minutes and charge it, and then use it and then take a break and charge it and then finish the lawn. But in terms of lawnmowers, that's the only way I would go. I'm surrounded by people that have ride-on lawnmowers. They are loud. It's just not a user-friendly thing. There's some people here with gas-powered lawnmowers. Guy across the street took apart the carburetor, and there was fuel going everywhere. There's oil and spark plug, and the rider lawnmower that I was using for a guy, I was helping him mow his lawn, and it had a flat tire, and I'm like, this is stupid. My lawnmower folds into something that you can stick in your trunk in less than 10 seconds. There are no parts to take care of every year. I've never had any problem with it. I had a problem with the battery after the first year, which was under warranty, and they replaced. But there's no spark plug, there's no oil, there's nothing to fix. It's light, it's quiet. I can throw it in my trunk in 10 seconds and take it somewhere else that I've been doing to help other people with their lawns. And most importantly is I can fold this up, tip it on its side, and sharpen the blade probably within 3 or 4 minutes. And another thing that I really got right this year and paid attention to was sharpening the blade. I got this torque wrench, and there are 2 bits, a 17 millimeter and a 14 millimeter, to take the blade off. And you just fold the lawnmower down, tip it up, take the blade off, sharpen it real quick with this sharpener that I got on Amazon for $8. And I do that once a month. And it keeps your blade from ripping the grass and letting in disease and fungus and all kinds of other things. and it's a much nicer cut. So I can't say enough about electric lawnmowers. Get rid of the gas. It's just not happening. Another thing that I really got right is summer seeding. A guy in my neighborhood wanted to redo his lawn, and someone was complaining online that it was the summer, and nobody, that's such a bad time to do that. You should be doing it in the fall. And I'm like, armchair quarterback, dude, come on, be quiet. It's like the best time for me to put seed down in is the summer. We have no spring. It goes from winter to summer here. And we live down by the Sagamore Bridge by Cape Cod, so we're 10 degrees cooler than when I'm working in Marshfield, my hometown. But for the soil temperature to be 55, 60, 65 degrees or higher is really the first week of June here. So putting seed down before that is kind of dumb. Waiting until the end of August or September 1st, mid-August, all the acorns are coming down. I've got leaves coming down. It's cold at night. There's less light. It's stupid, man. What a dumb time to put seed down. I've been putting seed down like the first week of June or the first week of July. And think about this. You put down seed the first week of July. You put it all down. You put the starter fertilizer down. You cover it with peat moss. And you water it for 4 times a day. You do that for 3 weeks. And then you do a mow. You put down more starter fertilizer. And then you water it again for another 3 weeks. You've gone through 6 weeks of summer where you're watering it every day and it's covered and protected. It came out beautifully last year. There was no problems with heat or anything like that. And you've gotten through the summer being protected from the heat with the peat moss and the water. And it also has a lot more time to mature before September, October rolls around and it's getting cold and it stops growing. So I can't say enough about summer seeding, man. That's the only way to go. I don't understand people. Anyway, having a dethatcher is the best tool that I own next to my lawnmower. I've helped other people dethatch their lawns. I dethatch my lawn at least once a year, especially if I'm going to put seed down. A lot of lawn geeks do it once a month. It's such a great thing to have, just digging out all the crap and out of your lawn and letting the light and the water and the fertilizer and everything else hit it is so important. Also having the manual aerator. I'm jealous of people that can have their lawn aerated professionally. And this manual thing takes forever and it's painful. But if there's a problem in the lawn, if there's a brown spot somewhere, I just use the manual aerator. Just punch a hole in the middle of it and then around the sides and then water it by hand for like 3 or 4 days and that brown spot's gone. Again, the backpack sprayer. I watched a video that said if you're not using a backpack sprayer, you're never going to have the lawn you want to have. I put a lot of stuff down with granules, and there are certain things that you want to be doing that with, like your lime, your grass seed, some fertilizers. There's things that you want, moss control, you want to put stuff down with your spreader, but a lot of things are foliar applications like iron, and it's not the same putting iron down as a granule as opposed to actually making it stick to the leaf blade and do its thing. So I can't say enough about having a backpack sprayer and a good backpack sprayer to really get you where you want to go. Mowing twice a week, it helps your lawn thicken up, trains your lawn to keep growing. I try and go for every Friday and every Tuesday if the weather permits. Twice a week is the way to go for mowing your lawn. Bagging instead of mulching. People used to say there's nutrients and there's nitrogen that you put back into the soil by mulching and not using a bag on your lawnmower. And some of the recent studies have said that's not so true. And I also feel like you're putting mulch into your lawn. You're just creating another thatch layer and you're going to end up dethatching again. I'm like, nah. So I always use a bag on my mower, always. All right, let me throw a couple of tricks your way. It's hot in the summer. What do? Hopefully you're watering. Best time to water would be like 6 in the morning. Just water for a half hour. I guess maybe every day. It sort of depends on your lawn and the weather. But let's just say Monday through Friday or even every day you're watering. One of the things that golf courses do is they do something called syringing. So if I water for a half hour at 6 o'clock every morning, I will also water, let's say, at 10, 1, and maybe 4 o'clock, but I'm only going to water for 5 minutes. And you're just kind of cooling down the soil bed and sort of tricking it into thinking it's not actually 100 degrees out. Some people just do it, again, at like 1 in the afternoon. So they'll do it 6 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon just to kind of cool things down a little bit. Golf courses do it, I think, almost hourly. But syringing, that's a good tip. Plant growth regulator. I'm going to start using that next year. It slows down the growth of your grass. So you imagine you go on vacation for 2 weeks, you mow your lawn, you go on vacation for 2 weeks, you come back and your lawn's like 6 inches taller, and you have to raise the blade, and you can't mow it properly, whatever. Put some plant growth regulator down before you go on vacation, and it's growing centimeters. So it doesn't stop the growth, but it really slows it down. But the point of using it is not to mow less, which is what everybody says. The point of it is actually you slow down the growth of the grass, and then the grass takes that same energy it was using to grow, and suddenly it turns a darker shade of green, and it's fighting disease and foot traffic and really sort of building up its sort of health. And that's the main point of plant growth regulator. And then especially if you're putting seed down and you put plant growth regulator as you're putting seed down, it's going to keep that grass from really going crazy because you're not going to mow it. You're going to water the crap out of it and then not mow it for 3 weeks, and it's going to be crazy. Plant growth regulator, and then it's just growing centimeters. And the last little trick I noticed is a lot of people have been using rotary scissors. It's an attachment that goes on your, a lot of people have 4-in-1 tools. I think Ego has a 4-in-1 tool that has like a little chainsaw attachment, and it has a weed whacker attachment or whatever. And then you can also buy a rotary scissors attachment. And it actually is like weed whacking, but it's actually like cutting like a scissors. Way cooler than just beating the crap out of things with plastic wire. So I'm not a big weed whacker person. I just sort of leave my lawn the way it is. We have 33-year-old sidewalks and probably a 33-year-old driveway, so there's no point of my getting sort of super neat about weed whacking things and tidying up the yard. I want my lawn to look thick and fluffy, like a shag rug. I don't want any acorns or debris or weeds or bare spots. I just want you to be able to lie down in it and take a nap or have a picnic or read a book. But rotary scissors is a very cool thing and a way to go. All right, so let me talk to you about the process of maintaining your lawn. So you spent a summer renovating your lawn. You put down seed, it all grew in, you watered it, it looks great. What's going to happen the next year? What is involved with actually taking care of it, and what does that cost? All right, so I'm thinking in terms of my neighbor who's going to be doing that. He's going to be putting down grass seed and soil and redoing his lawn. So what's going to be involved when it actually comes time for him to just take care of it? You're done renovating. You're just going to take care of it. Now what? I would think in terms of like this. Let's say the first of the month, you're going to do whatever you're going to do. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So April 1st, the first thing I would do is I would sharpen my mower blade. which literally takes me less than 5 minutes. Then I'm going to get out my backpack sprayer, and I'm going to spray the lawn. Now, let's say you pick a Saturday. Let's say April 1st is a Saturday. You come outside around 7:30 in the morning. You get your backpack sprayer out. You fill it with stuff. You spray your lawn. You're probably done by 9 a.m. So in terms of taking care of your yard for a month, is that worth it? Now, what are you putting in this backpack sprayer? So you're going to fill it with I have a 4-gallon tank on my backpack sprayer because I have a medium-sized yard. So that backpack sprayer was about $250. It's called a Petra HG 4000. And it's the one everybody uses. And I bought it because I knew it wasn't going to break down on me. It was going to last. And it sprays really well. You can buy a $60 backpack sprayer, but anyways, so what am I going to put in that backpack sprayer? I'm going to fill it with about 3 gallons of water, the hose, and then I'm going to start adding things. Some of the people that I follow on YouTube started working with fertilizer companies. So the mollycoddle mix that I talked about in my last video has all these different components that you have to add together to sort of make up this mollycoddle mix. And then over the last year, they've all kind of figured out, well, why don't we just put all that in the same jug and do it all at once? So this one guy from this website called Lawn Life, Jesse, he has something out called Neighbor's Envy. And it's most of the stuff that I put in my backpack sprayer last year, all in one jug. And you can buy this, a gallon of it, I think is like $60 or $65. You would probably use one of those a month. And then the backpack sprayer comes with a little 6-ounce cup, measuring cup, and then you just fill that up, 1 cup for each gallon of water that you put in your backpack sprayer. That couldn't be any easier. So you take your Neighbor's Envy, it's full of all the goodies you need, fill the cup 4 times, and then top off the backpack sprayer with water, so you have 4 gallons in there. And then you go around and you spray your yard. When it's empty, you do it again. I have to fill my backpack sprayer 4 times right now. Once I add more grass to my yard next year, I'll have to do it 5 times. So you just have to kind of figure out how much product you actually need for your size yard and how many times you have to fill it. But I can fill my backpack sprayer 5 times and be done by 9:30 in the morning. No one would ever know the difference. What I would also put in with the Neighbor's Envy is something to fight fungus and disease every month. You want to do 2 separate things. You want to do propiconazole 1 month and then azoxystrobin the other month. And those are fancy names, but one fights fungus and one fights disease. You can't put the same thing down every month because your lawn will get used to it and it'll stop working. So, and you can actually buy a gallon of propiconazole on Amazon. I think it's $82, so it'll probably last you all summer. And then to take confusion out of it, get a Sharpie and write on the bottle April 1st, June 1st, August 1st, October 1st. Get a thing of azoxystrobin. You might have to buy that once a month. I'm not sure how much you can get of that at once. I think it's 16 ounces or 32 ounces. But you do that in the opposite months. And then the last thing would be to get a wetting agent. I've been using MoistureMax this year. And that's to make sure the water penetrates the soil and stays there. So you put in your Neighbor's Envy. You put in your disease or fungus control. You put in your wetting agent. You're done. Go spray the lawn. Takes about an hour and a half for me. You're done for the month. So other things that I would do besides that, I've become a huge fan of Milorganite this year. I don't really think of it as a fertilizer as much as I think of it like, it's just more like kickstarting microbial activity. It's just really gets things going in your lawn. And next year I'm going to put down, I buy a bag for your front yard, buy a bag for your backyard, put it down the first of the month, do it every month. It's $22 a bag. It's not going to break the bank. And it just sits in your yard. It's organic. It's nasty. It smells. It's just going to sit in there and feed your yard when it wants to be fed. And I almost think of it like a foundation of everything. So it works so well. It really greens things up. It really, it's amazing, actually. It's awful stuff, but it works beautifully. And I'm thinking of this sort of as the foundation of my yard. Every month I'm going to put that down the first of the month. And then I'll do the backpack sprayer. Another thing to consider is I'm going to sort of look into, there's this guy, Yardbrah, that I follow on YouTube, and he's coming out with products as well. One of the things is a wetting agent and plant growth regulator in the same bottle. It's called snake oil. It's a little on the expensive side. It's something that you would put down once a week. When you put plant growth regulator down, if you put it down all at once, it kind of makes your lawn a little yellow. So a lot of people just do, instead of 4 ounces a month, they do 1 ounce a week, 1 ounce per gallon of water. But that's something that I might consider doing next year, and especially since it has a wetting agent in it, though he's calling it a surfactant, which is kind of a different thing. But I want to look into that, and maybe I'll do that. So theoretically, you could run around and do that once a week if you wanted to. And then I would say the 15th of every month, if you wanted to, you could buy yourself a thing of liquid iron on Amazon. It's like $30. Put that in your backpack sprayer. Again, you're doing 1 measuring cup per 1 gallon. So you're filling that 4 times for your 4-gallon sprayer. And you go spray your yard. Again, it's going to take you an hour, maybe an hour and a half tops. Putting down liquid iron darkens your lawn, so you'll have the darkest lawn in the neighborhood. It also helps prevent weeds, and it also fights moss. That's what you put on your yard to kill moss, is liquid iron. So if you wanted to do that, that would be great. So think about what you're doing. You're putting down a couple bags of Milorganite, spending an hour and a half with the backpack sprayer, putting everything down, and then maybe doing that again 2 weeks later if you wanted to. And then if you can, try and cut your lawn twice a week. That's really not bad in terms of lawn maintenance, and it's really not that bad in terms of how much it costs. I have some people in my neighborhood that they have like big lawn companies come and mow their lawn. There's one at the bottom of the hill. They do like diamond stripes, and it's crazy. It's probably smaller than my yard, and there's 4 guys that show up every Friday, and they bring lawn chairs and have lunch in the middle of the street every Friday. But it's like, how much does that cost every week for months, for 5 or 6 months? Think of what they're spending on that. This is like not even near that cost-wise. So something to think about. Again, I think this is all something that anybody can do. If I can do it, you can do it. I mentioned that in my last video. A woman had commented to my wife. She said, your husband's telling people that he can't afford to do this. He's not able to do this physically, but he's doing it anyways. I don't get it. I'm like, that's the whole point, is that I couldn't really afford to renovate my yard, but I did anyways. I had a side hustle, as the kids call it, and I turned that into a full-time job last summer. So I was working 2 full-time jobs and sort of renovating this as another full-time job, because I'm not going to just sit around and whine about it. I'm just going to go do it. And if you follow all these things, you can do it, and it's going to happen for you. So many people come up to me, oh, I can't grow grass. I had a lady walking by. She's like, she saw my brown grass at the sidewalk strip. She's like, you can't grow anything in this neighborhood. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, 2 weeks later, boom, here's my yard, so you can do it. So if you find this video helpful, please share it around to your friends, family, neighbors, whatever. I want people to know that there doesn't have to be secrets to a great lawn. I've went and found them, so I'm giving them to you. I don't make any money from these videos. I don't want you to like or subscribe or any of that YouTube crap. I just want people to know what they can do to have a great lawn and not live their life doing the lawn. I don't want this to be a full-time thing for me. I want this to just be once in a while. When we moved in, this yard wasn't taken care of for a long time. It wasn't even mowed. So because it was so bad, I feel like I want to sort of take it as far as I can to being as nice as I can make it. But from there, I just want to enjoy it. I'd rather be sitting in the hammock enjoying the day than doing yard work. So I'm guessing that you feel the same way. So I hope this video helps. And maybe I'll see you next year. Next year I have to finish off a side of my yard that has zero grass on it. It was once a slope, and they filled it in with some fill, which has all kinds of garbage and 12-inch spikes and boulders and crap in it. So I got to actually put down topsoil and grass seed, and that's going to be a whole project for next June. And for a third video, I think I probably will try and film that and show you the process of what I'm doing. But until then, I wish you the best, and it's not complicated. You just got to follow the steps and just do it. Thanks. Oh, and if there was one last thing that I could add on to this, and kind of a controversial thing maybe, I would just say, I just always want to say to people, just please just be neighborly. Anyone that's watching this video is of course going to help their neighbors renovate their yard or lend them a dethatcher or, show them this video, whatever it is. When we lived on Holly Road in Marshfield, that was my family's home for 42 years, we had these neighbors, and they had a ride-on lawnmower, and they would start mowing their lawn every weekend at dinner time. And we would be cooking out, let's say 10 yards away from their shed. I remember once I took a steak, threw it onto the grill, and as it hit the grill rack, you could hear the lawnmower start up, and the house is vibrating, and it's really loud. My family's on the back porch trying to cook out and visit with each other, and we can't even hear each other, and we're yelling at each other to have a conversation, and these idiots are mowing their lawn. And they would do that for years. 6 o'clock in the middle of the summer on a Saturday? Sure. There was a guy that was mowing his lawn at 8 or 9 o'clock on a Sunday, and it was Mother's Day this year. I'm like, dude, nice. So it doesn't take any effort to be considerate. I always try and do like Friday afternoon, like 2 to 4, and then maybe the same on Tuesday. I'd rather enjoy my lawn for the weekend than spend the weekend mowing. But especially ride-on mowers, man. It's just like, it doesn't take much to know that somebody's having a party, college graduation, a cookout. There's a better time. Everybody has a better other time that they can do something. So I just wanted to say that. And I don't understand the dog thing. I've got orange flags lining my yard right now because I put down grass seed and it's growing in. And people just bring their dogs over and piss and shit on my yard. Like, this is baby grass. It can cost up to about $500 or $600 to overseed your yard. So you've got expensive seed down, you've been watering it in, you've been working on it, and people just bring their dogs along. The first time that a dog pees on your yard, there's initial nitrogen and sodium. The nitrogen can sort of make it greener. Once somebody else comes along and pees in that same spot, that grass is dead. And then you're digging it out and putting grass seed down and starter fertilizer and some peat moss on it and watering it, because people just walk around with their dogs. It's great that you pick up your dog's crap after it craps on my yard, but it's not always that easy. And then when it's diarrhea dog, and I was dethatching my backyard and I look out in the front and there's a guy standing in the middle of my yard desperately trying to pick up his dog's crap. You could see all the sprinklers, the flags. I'm working on it. I'm dethatching. Right across the street, 10 feet from my yard, is our mailbox, which is a wasteland. Would be a perfect spot for any dog. I just don't get people. There's a woman that walks around and lets her dogs, two dogs, roll around on their backs on my yard when she thinks no one's looking. And I sort of caught her last year and she booked it out of here. And then this year, I caught her doing it again, and I had just put Milorganite down and watered it in, so it was wet fertilizer that's made out of human waste. And you're letting your dogs roll around on it. And they're going to go home and roll around on your floor and your bed and your rug and lick themselves and whatever else. Okay, lady. So I just don't get the dog thing, man. Nothing that comes out of your dog is any good for a yard. That's as simple as it gets.